a lot of things has been happening in the world in general, and I just wanted to say that I'm going to be talking about a lot of different topics as of recently. So like, stay tuned. But today I'm going to be talking about something that I haven't been able to have a conversation about because I just haven't been able to talk about it, and that's my hate boner for college. Now, look, man, I personally don't like college. When I first started this channel and I first started doing content in general, this was a turning point for me. At that moment in time, I was a college student who was just doing stuff just to do whatever because I had extra time on my hands. I quit my full-time job. I did all that, and I dedicated myself to getting the education because that is what was expected of me to do. I'm a person who has a long history of people that have gone to college and college graduates inside my family. Three of my siblings have graduated college, and two of them went to college and then later on dropped out. And my reasons for leaving, it's very simple: money. As people know, going to college is a major sacrifice when it comes to time, when it comes to money, when it comes to everything. You're spending thousands and thousands of dollars for a degree that in a few years you might not even want to get. And that's where I was at a certain point in my life, you know? When I was 20, 21, I was going to school just because that's what was expected of me. My parents wanted me to do it. Everybody was telling me like this is the next step. This is the only way you're going to be able to be a real person, a real functioning adult. But they didn't tell me how much effort it was going to take to actually be there financially and be able to pay for everything and all that. Because again, as a person who does not have a lot of money or resources inside my day-to-day life, I felt like college was just something to be doing just because that was essentially just the next step in life. And in reality, a lot of people have became successful without going to college, but more on that later. So as I'm in there, I'm in classes, I'm doing whatever, I'm trying my hardest not to freaking blow my brains out, and I'm doing all this homework. Something very, tragic happens. My father passes. And during my father passing, I wasn't employed. I was just going to school because, again, that was a promise that I had with him and myself that I was gonna go to college and go what I really wanted to do. And at that time, I was being a business major. Which business majors, if you're a business major, I ain't gonna lie, like is one of the easiest fucking career choices. I ain't gonna lie, that like the classes was easy as hell. Like I was passing, I was doing minimal effort, but again, when my father passed, it ended up being my responsibility to pay for things, to do the mortgage, to do the what's the name, and a lot of those things just made me, first of all, consider like not going to college, and then second of all, having to get another full time job because at that moment in time, it didn't really make sense for me to go to school for 5, 6, whatever years, pray that everybody else is able to pay and get everything situated while I'm there, and then hopefully get a job when I graduate. Now, again, this is another thing that I don't like about college. After all that time that you spend going to college, getting the degree, having that time in there doing, all your classes and being stressed out or whatever, you're not guaranteed to go and find a job in your career. Graduates that are not finding a job inside their career, and they go by showing the majors that are underemployed. 67.2% is criminal justice, performing arts 62.3%, medical technicians 57.9%, liberal arts 56.5%, anthropology 55.9%, and they go on to talk about the more in demand jobs, which is education, computer science, chemical engineering, and education. Now, again, I am not saying that college is not a good form of employment. They're trying to get a little bit more bread, but I am saying that if you are a person that is not necessarily into school like I was and like how I am, then I feel like that being seen as the end all be all isn't necessarily the best chance that you'll have when it comes to finding the career that might actually pay you, because again, there are a lot of people who are not able to get a job inside their field even after graduating. Now take this with a grain of salt, because this is very much something that is being shown to you by AI, which I know end all be all, but approximately half of all college graduates end up working in jobs that don't use their degree. I repeat, a lot of the people that I used to work with, a lot of the people that, what's the name? Because again, I was a chef for a very long time. A lot of the people that went to school to for culinary arts didn't necessarily get to the point that they wanted to be at. A lot of them were just line cooks or maybe even managers or the same position as me. And all the people that were chefs weren't necessarily chefs because they went to school for it, but they had all the experience. And a lot of the times, these jobs in the job market that we are looking at right now, you will need 4, 5, 6 years in the career that you probably went to school for 10 years. And you thought, oh man, maybe that's what's the name. And again, back in the day, it made a lot more sense for people to go to college because that was the end all be all. Like, you know, a lot of the times when you see inside like the black community or a lot of minority communities, everybody is pushing you to go to college because during that time a lot of people weren't really going to college. But with so many people getting degrees, it feels like you are not only fighting against the person that lives down the street from you, you're also fighting against a guy who has a 4.0 in some Wisconsin college that nobody heard about, but they also have a cousin that works inside the, you know, the company for 4, 5, 6 years, and they already have the means to get into a career. Me personally, I don't have those type of resources. I know if I ended up going to college and finishing up my years and all that, then I probably would have just got a job that's paying 30, 40 thousand dollars a year, and that's not necessarily going to be putting money inside my, you know, children's bank or my, what's the name, like again, when I have children. I'm not that old yet, but when I get to that level in life, I don't think I'm going to be needing to use whatever, what's the name. And a lot of the times when people go to college, and I see a lot of these younger people that's around my age or maybe even younger than me going to school for art, going to school for music production. A lot of those things don't necessarily need a college degree in order to get into. In fact, like a lot of people that are going to school for these things are probably not going to make it because again, a lot of the times art and stuff like that is just up to luck. That's why you don't see a lot of college graduates rappers or college graduate R&B singers or whatever it is, because again, those arts, the schools and all that is not necessarily giving you that next step in order to get to whatever artistic thing that you're getting into. And then on the other side of it, if you're a person who is not getting into the high paying whatever jobs, the, you know, doctors, the lawyers, the things that take multiple years, and you're left with a job that is going to give you a lot of money in the long term, yes, but while you're thousands of dollars in debt, that is not going to keep you sustained. A lot of people are getting out of college and just making the same amount of money as a fast food worker that's working full time. And they also have $100,000 in debt in the hole because, again, they weren't necessarily taught about the finances and the things that really matters when you're going into the real world. Because if you're just a person who is 18 and saying, okay, screw it, I'm going to find whatever I want to do for the rest of my life, let's do it. And then you don't necessarily understand the ins and outs of how much money goes into education, room and board, and all this. You're racking up thousands of dollars, and you're literally never going to be able to pay that off, or you're going to pay it off by the time you're 50, 60 years old. Again, this is another website, but this is the average debt that a student may have during their 4 or 5 whatever years in college. And the average seems to be either 39,000 or 42,000. Again, we're not talking about the people that is going to medical school, that's going to what's the name, that are going to be in the high 300,000s to millions of dollars. But again, this is a lot of money to be accruing to people that are essentially children. You're 18, you're making a decision that is going to cost you a full lifetime. And they expecting you to understand and know what you're going after right there. And again, a lot of people say just go prerequisites. You can go the smarter way. You can go to community college and just kind of lollygag or do whatever. But again, you're just wasting time at that point. You might as well just do literally anything else. I look at you and I say, if you are a person that is not necessarily into a specific thing, you're not necessarily putting in work, or you're not necessarily a person who likes school, consider other options. Consider trade school, consider just working for a few years and maybe figuring it out, because I understand that a lot of people say that you need to rush into it and do whatever, but there is a large amount of people who regret the career, the degree that they have because they never got to use. Again, 30 to 80% of people switch their major during their years. That means that you are literally funneling in money for something that you're probably not even going to be interested in. But again, no matter what you do, if you have a dream that seems impossible or not very, very logical, whatever it is always important to put a little bit more time into doing that. I I I say to you, if you are an art person, if you are a person that wants to be a streamer, a YouTuber, whatever it is, put time into doing it now and not putting in a bunch of years, hours, and whatever it is, just chasing your dream while also paying for school for something that you're not even interested in. If you can, just work, see if you can get by on your own, and then see where life takes you, because you never know, you might end up doing something amazing. But again, for the people that are being forced to go to school from a parent, or you just not necessarily knowing what to do, I'll say college isn't necessarily the right move for you, and it wasn't the right move for me. And just consider. Anyway, it's been your boy Captain. See you.